The Hollywood sign. It's the ultimate symbol of glamour, fame, and the American dream. But before it was a global landmark, it was a real estate advertisement that spelled out Hollywoodland. And in 1932, it became the stage for one of the most tragic endings in Tinseltown history. Today, we're looking at the life, the death, and the restless afterlife of Peg Entwistel, the woman known forever as the Hollywood Sign Girl. Part 1: The Final Act. On the night of September 18, 1932, a young woman made her way up the steep, rugged slope of Mount Lee. Her name was Millicent Lillian Entwistel, though the world would come to know her as Peg. When she reached the massive, 50-foot-tall wooden letters, she didn't hesitate. She took off her coat and neatly folded it. She set down her purse. Then, she climbed the maintenance ladder on the back of the letter H. For a moment, she stood atop the sign, looking out over the flickering lights of the glamorous city that had rejected her. Then she leaped. Peg likely died instantly. Her body was found the next day by a hiker, leaving behind a suicide note that read, "I am afraid, I am a coward. I am sorry for everything. If I had done this a long time ago, it would have saved a lot of pain." P. Part 2: A Life Defined by Tragedy. Peg wasn't just a failed actress. She was a woman who had been chased by tragedy since childhood. Born in Wales in 1908, she lost her mother unexpectedly as a young girl. She moved to New York with her father, only for him to be killed by a hit-and-run driver on Park Avenue a few years later. But Peg was resilient. She was a gifted stage actress. She was so talented, in fact, that a young Betty Davis once said Peg Entwistel was her primary inspiration to pursue acting. By 19, she was on Broadway. But her personal life remained a minefield. She married actor Robert Keith, only to discover he had hidden a previous marriage and a 6-year-old son from her. The marriage collapsed into divorce. In 1932, Peg set her sights on the silver screen and moved to Los Angeles. She landed a role in the RKO film 13 Women. This was supposed to be her big break. But when the film's previews bombed, the studios slashed her screen time. Most of her performance ended up on the cutting room floor, and RKO dropped her contract. Broken by depression and a final bout of heavy drinking, she told her uncle she was going to the drugstore to meet friends. Instead, she walked toward the sign. Part 3: The Haunting of Mount Lee. Peg Entwistel died at age 24, but many believe she never left the mountain. For decades, hikers and park rangers have reported eerie encounters near the sign. The sightings. The vanishing blonde. Park rangers often report seeing a beautiful blonde woman in 1930s-style clothing wandering the paths. She always appears deeply sad. When anyone approaches to help, she vanishes into thin air. The gardenia scent. Ranger John Arbogast has seen her several times, usually on foggy nights. He notes that her appearance is often preceded by the overwhelming scent of gardenias, which was reportedly Peg's favorite perfume. The etheric hiker. Resident Devin Morgan was hiking the switchbacks when she saw a woman who seemed to glide rather than walk. Morgan tried to catch up, but the figure disappeared, leaving only that signature scent of gardenias behind. The paranormal witness. In a famous account featured on Sci-Fi, 4 friends trespassed near the sign after a Dodgers game. On their way down, they encountered a woman in a gown and a veil walking effortlessly up the hill in high heels. Her footsteps made no sound. Part 4: The Eerie Aftermath. The story of Peg Entwistel has 2 final, bone-chilling postscripts that sound like they were written for a Hollywood script. The family curse. Peg's ex-husband, Robert Keith, had a son named Brian Keith. Brian grew up to be a famous actor. Family affair. In a tragic echo of the past, Brian Keith committed suicide in 1997, just 10 weeks after his own daughter had taken her own life. The cruelest irony: only days after Peg jumped, a letter arrived at her home from the Hollywood Playhouse. They were offering her the lead role in their next production. The role? A woman who commits suicide. Peg Entwistel came to Hollywood looking for a legacy. She found one, though likely not the one she wanted. She remains a permanent resident of the Hollywood Hills, a reminder of the high price of broken dreams. Next time you look up at that famous sign, look closely at the letter H. You might just see a flash of a blonde woman in a white dress, still waiting for her big break.